Okay, this like camera work is so god awful. I should do a better job, but I guess I'm too lazy. Well, I don't know. I don't have the money to straighten it out really to redo it. But anyway, I talk about capitalism. Basically, how capitalism works. Basically, what you have with communist Russia, you had the Russian economy, and you have the American economy, which is capitalist. And basically, campaign finance corruption is a damper on it's a damper on the economy. It's a damper on the American dream. It cuts into it, to the point we don't have it, and it hurts. Campaign finance, government corruption. It hurts us financially. It hurts Warren Buffett. In other words, if you got rid of government corruption, it's like a tornado, basically, in a mountain. Out on the plains, you have a lot of tornadoes. You get in the mountain range, they stop them. And the economic tornadoes are the same thing. And government corruption stops the economic tornadoes. And so it means the very richest, Warren Buffett, is losing money, and the very poorest, the working poor, are losing money. Everybody is being hurt by government corruption with the economy. If you eliminate it, you would have more money in the country. It's more efficient. And basically, the economy is like a tornado. It's like a shock cycle, or it's like, for example, a tornado is an efficient form of energy, and an F5 tornado is free energy, and you're getting a better deal if you get an F5 tornado, and if you get an F0, it's more free energy. And you take, like, you're working at Papa John's or wherever, and you're stirring up the sauce. You notice when you put it in the center, there's a little bit of acceleration going on. First it starts, it rises, you get this V shape going on, and then the next thing you notice, the V shape gets bigger and bigger, and then pretty soon the bucket is shaking, and then pretty soon the sink that it's in is shaking, and it's a gradual thing. There's momentum built up. There's acceleration going on. And the same thing happens with the economy. It's like the shock cycle, the same thing. You know that when someone is in an accident and their kidneys aren't working up to standards, and the lungs aren't working up to standards, so you have the blood that's coming through the lungs aren't quite working as good as they should be, and they're not putting enough oxygen in the blood, and so then the oxygen goes to the kidneys, and they're deprived of oxygen, and so the kidneys aren't working quite as good, and they're not filtering the blood, and so the blood comes as good as they should be, so the blood comes back through the lung again, and it's not being filtered right, and so it's not going to carry oxygen as well as it did the first time, and then it takes a little less oxygen to the kidney, and then the kidney's is starved a little bit of oxygen, a little more than it was the first time, and it's a gradual, this would be a deacceleration, I guess, and then the person goes into shock, or can, and it's the same thing with the economy. And what happens, government corruption does the same thing. Like, for example, you have the Chinese, and they had, you had the Russian economy, and they do not have an economy that inspires the advancement of technology. And everything, you notice with the nuclear weapons and everything else, everything they got, they stole from us, or someone sold it to them. And you notice that even after they got them, they made mistakes. I mean, they had a nuclear waste dump that reached critical mass and destroyed a bunch of towns. They still didn't know what they were doing even after they stole it from us. And the Chinese tried to build a 707. Why did they build their own plane? Why a 707? Why not a DC-10? But anyway, they got the center of gravity off. Thing didn't fly. Because their country does not inspire the advancement of technology. They're non-capitalist. Well, what happens? We've lost the capitalism in the United States now. We don't have it anymore. And the reason why is Chief Justice Roberts and this McCain, and saying that McCain-Feingold is unconstitutional, it has destroyed capitalism. So you don't have it anymore. We've got a Russian economy now. We've got the same economy. And the Russians, basically, what do they have? They have realistic prices. That's what we, the capitalists, have. Realistic prices. So they're strong in the international market, and the advancement of technology, the inspiration to advance. Well, what happens with this campaign finance corruption? You have them making laws that destroy the competition. And the competition is what creates the incentive for technological advancement. And let's see. It's like if you have two hospitals in town versus one. I mean, they all go to the, to compete with the other hospital, they have to have a higher they have to have state-of-the-art equipment to get the customers over. There's incentive to advance. Well, there's no competition in the AMA anymore, and the reason they do is because they have the campaign finance corruption, and they go to the government and they stop by the competition. And the pharmaceutical industry, you see it. I mean, they made a law we can't go to Canada to buy drugs, and like Kevin Trudeau came out and had a thing on the infomercial, but he made a lot of good points in it, and he was commenting that the AMA has not invented anything since Jonas Salk invented a vaccine for polio. And the reason why, but he didn't mention the word competition, but that's what it is, because they won't allow, like you take a vitamin, they make it a drug, so that way that the feds can go in and shut you down if you sell it. It stomps out the competition. They made a law you can't go to Canada to buy drugs. And you had Kevin Trudeau on Deborah Norville, and she was arguing that, well, this is old wives' tale stuff, and that the people are being denied good treatment because they're trying to use this shark cartilage and whatever it else that basically old wives' tale. But the thing is, whether it's old wives' tale or not, it's still, Kevin Trudeau still helps society, because what happens, they have to compete with Kevin Trudeau and his non-traditional treatments to get these customers back. So what do they have to do? They got to come up with one that works better, that really works this time. So one way or the other, they're still being benefited. And the pharmaceutical industry made a law that you can't go to Canada to buy drugs. And John McCain even brought this out and said that it was of, by, and for the pharmaceutical industry exactly through campaign finance corruption and the pharmaceutical lobby. Well, what happens if you go to Canada to buy drugs? Well, Rush Limbaugh argues that, just a second, I got that.